And so this is Christmas, and the markets keep making new highs. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December 22nd, 3 days from Christmas, and here we have the continuation of the mess and the between the impeachment and the idiocy of the left trying to go through with this, which thank them all, because it just means that it looks like it's going to be more desertion from the left, and some pretty big changes probably coming up at the next election. But boy, I'll tell you, they sure have lost their mind. And of course, Nancy Pelosi should probably be in a home by now, because I know she got trapped on the wrong side of this argument. She can't even bring the charges to the Senate. So we'll see what happens with this. But of course, it has zero effect on markets as they continue to pound out towards new highs. And there's no reason to believe that these new highs are going to stop. Now, there's a lot of things out there, as we've said, I don't know, probably for the last 10, 12 weeks, that we are in the early stages of a recession, and it appears that we are. Again, we don't predict what the market's going to do. We just continue to react as things go on. But you can start with freight shipments around the U.S. They continue to slow. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that we're not pushing as many goods. So all these, this talk about, well, the Christmas season is not as good. Well, again, first of all, there is no more Black Friday. There is no more of that crap. It's because, Black Friday starts, right now, right after Christmas, we'll be starting Black Friday for next year. So, and of course, there's much more shopping on the internet now. There's, the Amazon has obviously revolutionized the way that many of us shop to begin with. So, but again, we are seeing slower freight shipments. We are seeing a slower economy. You saw what happened to Fedex and their earnings. Okay, now you can blame that on Amazon potentially dropping Fedex or not allowing their third-party vendors to go ahead and use them. But at the end of the day, it really means there's just not as much freight to deliver. Not as much freight to deliver means we're back more into services, although Americans continue to spend as fast as they make it. The by-the-month society is growing and growing and growing, as well as the debt that continues to grow and grow and grow. And obviously, nobody seems to care. Again, I guess we're all assuming that someday all this massive debt we have accumulated will be forgiven by the powers that be. And of course, if the left ever gets in the office, that will probably be the overall case. Now, again, as you know, and people that know me know that I'm not left or right. I'm really center. But certainly although the right has gone farther right, the left has gone. I think they're in Pluto right now, and mentally in Pluto. So we're seeing that, of course, when you hear during the debate, when Joe Biden says the Democrats, the middle class is getting slaughtered here, I don't know. I mean, again, other than the usual ridiculous tax that we pay as the middle class, funding the morons on both sides of the aisle, okay, and the ignorance of all these programs that they want to and put in, okay, and again, that goes for both sides. That's not a left or right issue. The spending, and why not? Because when you have a middle class that can continue to pay for that spending, it ends up in a problem. Now, of course, there are so many issues out there, but yet nothing has bothered the market. Okay, right now you have traders, investors that are the most bullish in history. Okay, we are now seeing the traders the most bullish. This is even bigger than the dot-com bubble. Now, I am not calling these markets a bubble, But I'm just saying to you very simply that based on the data that we use, investors are the most heavily invested in history. So we talk about, you continue to hear the people talk about there's so much money on the sidelines and all that stuff going on. In the meantime, as I say always, okay, there's always money on the sidelines. So are we going to continue to wait for it? Investors, the most bullish in history, can never be a great sign. Okay, again, there has to be some stuff. So we continue to climb the wall of worry. We can listen to all that stuff out there. In the meantime, the money does the talking, and the money says that we're invested, and we're invested heavily. Again, we are not predicting change, and we will remain long these markets. But I'm just saying to you that, again, there's things you start to think about. Okay, it doesn't mean that you act; you just think about them. But we have manufacturing decreased once again, more supporting the potential that there's a recession coming. Now, again, I don't necessarily care. I would prefer the Fed get the hell out. Okay, I fought the Fed, and the Fed won. The Fed's always going to win because they hold the purse, they hold the money. Now, again, the ridiculousness of the lack of free markets allowing interest rates to flow properly is becoming even more comical. And as the other day, when I had a couple of drinks with my friend who's involved in these banking things, and I said I can never mention the name or who he does business with, but he is the biggest lender to some of the biggest franchises. Banks are buying loans at record numbers. They are buying basically subprime types of loans because my friend and people like him are lenders that lend to people that can't get money from the bank. So in the meantime, the bank is backdoor buying all these notes, and all these third-party subprime lender types are cashing in big tickets because they're getting guaranteed their money. They're selling the loans as soon as they get them. They're making their 2 to 3 to 4 basis points right off the top, skimming the market, and here's the banks holding all this paper again. But of course, when you know the Fed's going to bail your ass out, why worry? Okay, where's Alfred E. Newman? What, me worry? I mean, it's really a joke. But we've seen a continued squeeze of the shorts in spite of bad news. Now, again, I am not being an advocate telling you that you should be shorting markets because of news. As you know, I don't believe in the news, when it comes to trading the markets. The news itself always plays out long before it actually gets to the tape where we can actually see it. But, I think the interesting things that we worry about is, the overall problems that we're seeing in general here. And I think that is, slowed manufacturing. We're seeing slower freights being delivered. We're seeing all kinds of issues that indicate warning. If you remember, I forget the name of the show, but I remember the line, danger, Will Robinson, danger. But again, you don't change your investing decisions based on what news happens to be out there. The price action will always tell you what you should be expecting next. And for now, price action still says that we don't care. And as long as we don't care, why should we try to get out? We've had many experts for years calling for the devastation, okay, going back, and this was before the election. This is when, President Obama was still in office, and there was the calls for another market disaster. And many people have never regained their positioning in the markets, missing the biggest rally in history. And nobody knows how long this is going to go on for. Again, I can give you a list of all the bad news that's going on right now. I can tell you everything that is wrong right now based on some of the economic stuff around the globe, and yet it doesn't really matter. And I think this is one of the things that many of us don't understand, is that it doesn't matter. Okay, you can look for reasons to sell off, and again, that of course is when you become a profit instead of trying to make profits. But you can continue to fight whatever you want, and again, you can see the coup going on with the far left. Okay, and obviously we've got left, far left, and farther left. But you can see the coup they're trying to do, and I think this is obviously sets an extremely bad precedence for future presidents. Forget about the fact that you don't like President Trump. Okay, remember that once you start something as dumb as what's going on today, okay, it can only get worse. But the real point here is it has had no effect on the markets. It has no effect on the economies. It continues to be fairly strong. Again, don't get me wrong. I've said this, and I see some issues that are showing, and some problems that are showing, and I think there's no bigger problem than the overconfidence of investors. There's no bigger problem than the overall complacency that we're seeing. Now, history might suggest that we might see a slowdown. You've got some big banks now calling for a slowdown, but I'm always leery when you hear of big banks calling for the slowdown, because typically they don't make announcements unless they have an agenda and they want to be on the other side of the market. That is their way of doing their own little method of spoofing. Okay, it's a spoofing mechanism to come out with an announcement that ABC is going to zero, so that the people that own ABC ABC is not the broadcasting company. It's just obviously XYZ ABC is telling you that they really want to buy it. So they want the initial sell-off to take place so that they can buy at a better price. Happens all the time. It's happened forever. And yet we worry about the term spoofing, which, again, I think if you don't understand how spoofing works is you're creating potentially an imaginary market. Okay, you're creating a bid somewhere, okay, or an offer. You may be selling it or you may be buying it, but you're trying to create interest in that direction because your ulterior motives are you want to get to the other side of that market. But this has happened since the caveman. Again, every one of you, including me, spoofs something. Whether you're selling your house, your car, anything you're doing, you're always trying to create a value that is probably greater than it's actually worth. And that's, again, it comes back down to the same way as markets. If you just remember the one saying, which is this: markets will tend to genuinely go to size. So if you see an unusually large bid somewhere, and one that you would really think be out of character, what that really usually means is that somebody is holding that market up to keep the buyers buying while they're actually selling, okay, on the other side. Now, of course, they can get trapped too. When that order is in the market, it can get hit and it can get filled and they can sell. But of course, it typically doesn't. In the meantime, that's my views on spoofing as well. We're going to step out here for a break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 22nd. We'll be right back, with more of Bubba's Bottom Line after the break. What's up, all? It is Sunday. We did a great mini webinar yesterday on our futures. Our futures are killing it. The micro mini futures portfolios are making new highs each and every week, and we're just excited about it. It's been a great program, and of course we can trade the trend on either side. You want to hear that webinar? Just shoot me an email at bubba@bubbatrading.com, and I'll be happy to share it with you and send it to you. And in the meantime, don't forget about our high school program as well at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with your host, me, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line, and it is Todd Bubba Horowitz. And as always, a great pleasure to be here with you. And of course, as we talk markets, we had another up week, right? As they say, the markets basically blacked the card, which only means that they basically went up every single day. And they did, which tells us well, we're long, so we're certainly not unhappy about that, right? But we are long the markets. We do continue to hold positions, and we will continue to do so. So no matter what the economic data is, no matter what I tell you about the news out there, which is why we tell you don't try to trade the news, we're going to stay long. Because, again, why should I get out? There were so many of you that used my portfolios that were panicking when Amazon reported their earnings. And Amazon was in trouble at the moment. And, of course, the NASDAQ was coming a little bit lower, but was still higher. But many of you panicked out. And, of course, we said, do not sell until the signal changes. But, of course, those who did, the NASDAQ future from that point, from that day, is $19,000 a contract higher today. Okay? So, again, had you stayed the course and not tried to predict what was going to happen next because of one company's earnings, you wouldn't have given up the 19 grand. And again, it's that simple. Let the markets decide for you. Let the mechanical methods that we use decide for you. We're not always right. Okay, listen, you know what my positions are here on a regular basis. I don't hide them from you. Okay, I tell you exactly what we have on. So again, this is why I continue to warn you on a regular basis, quit trading the news. Okay, crude oil. Now, I hate trading crude oil. I don't hate trading it. I hate being long it. Let's rephrase. Okay, I hate being long it, but yet I've been long crude oil since about, $55 or $56. I wind all the way up, and here we are, going to maybe test 63, which was the Saudi Arabia drone bombing high. Okay, again, I can't tell crude oil what to do. Okay, so why not? Why shouldn't I take advantage and participate with what the market's doing? Okay, and again, this is something that I want you to always understand. Okay, is that we should not be trying to outsmart the markets, and using mechanical trading that's rule-based will keep you in the markets at all times. When you get nervous, if it's time to get out, the market will reverse. If you stay with it, you will be in it until we change. We just took a coffee trade, okay, that we took out almost $10,000 of profit in coffee. We got about 80% of the move, 75 to 80%. Anyways, so bond markets, we were long, we hated it. Now we're short, and of course we shorted them into, at the moment, doesn't feel so good. We shorted basically into, what was the bottom on Friday. We'll see what happens from here, but we are short the treasuries. Okay. And of course, somebody asked me to cover copper, and we are long copper here. Copper looks like it wants to go a little higher. Now again, it's really been depressed. So again, I have no doubt that it can go higher. But again, it will tie into many of the economic problems later because, of course, of what it's used for, and of course, Dr. Copper. But again, we're still long copper here. The grain markets were still long. Now they didn't have a rough week last week, but they were a little softer last week. But again, that is to be expected when you have major rallies. Okay, in any product, it doesn't matter what it is. You have major rallies. They push the market up, and of course, now you expect a little bit of a pullback to support. Now, the real key here is if support holds, which we believe that it will. But if it doesn't hold, then it means it was just a dead cat rally bounce, and we'll have to probably reverse again. But for now, we're long the grains across the board and expect that to be the right position. Because personally, as I've said on AgriTalk Radio, okay, I do expect that the bottoms are in. Now, again, if I'm wrong, I will reverse. I have no issue with following directions and following the rules, because I've learned after 40 years, it's the easiest way to do things without having to make a decision, because that thing in between your ears causes a lot of grief, okay? Thinks too much. It's the best to just be purely mechanical and let the computer, let the algorithm, let the artificial intelligence do the thinking when it comes to this, because anytime it comes to money, okay, we all have a tendency to be a little bit too emotional. Okay, gold is we're still short gold. It has a much more bullish tint to it at the moment, but it has still been unable to break out of these new levels. So I warn you again. Look, I'm long gold, long term. In my safe, there's gold. in the short term, as a trader, I'm short gold, and I don't mind being short gold. In fact, I look to potentially sell it again. Now, again, if it breaks out and shows me that that the algorithm's going to reverse, I'll be happy to reverse it. Okay, and the meats, listen, meats, cattle, live, and feeders or fats. Let's so you know, for those of you who are not familiar with cattle, the difference or the terminology, live cattle and fat cattle are the same thing. Those are basically full-grown cattle. Feeder cattle are the ones that they feed them till they become full-blown. In the meantime, we're long cattle, okay, and looks really solid. Again, they had a little bit of a pullback, but remember, a week ago, they had limit up moves. So you expect a sell. And I think one of the things many of you forget is we should learn to expect certain things based on price action, okay? Hogs, still short, but they're virtually a tick away. I think one more, even a small update, will spin that. But again, that's not for me to decide. It's for the markets to tell me that they give me the green light that it's okay. So for today, we still stand short. So for those of you who get the ag report, and I said I would let you know that the reason I didn't say that we changed because we didn't change. We are still short, although I think it's probably right to be long. And of course, I might be a day early based on my own opinion. But again, it's something that you'd want to watch for, okay? Because I think you will look for it to move higher, okay? So again, I think when you look at markets, okay, and you look at what's going on, you have to, again, forget about all of the news, okay? Because it really doesn't matter. Are we going to have a slowdown? I don't know. Again, I don't worry about it because I know that based on what we do, we can make money on either side of the market. So again, as they say in the business, everybody's a genius in a bull market, okay? And of course, that's true because people tend to be long, and certainly, as you know from listening to this show, that typically markets do go up 8.5% year over year. They don't go up every year, but when they do turn, the algorithms will turn, and we will make a lot of money on the way down of the sell-off. But would you rather be early and have to make a decision and probably get stopped out? Or if you do get in early, you probably get out too early. Whereas if you wait and you wait for the right signal, it gives you the chance to get in, stay in, and capture much more of that move. Okay. Now the other thing is, of course, this time of the year you're going to hear a ton of predictions about markets and where they're going and what's going to happen. Remember, the people giving you massive predictions are no different than you. Okay, they have no more idea of what's going to happen than you. But because they're either paid spokespeople or they are paid in the industry as advisors, whatever they are, they have no clue of what is next. Like you and I have no clue of what's going to happen next. The only thing we know for sure is that for now, markets go higher. Okay, it doesn't matter. Dull markets drift higher. So quit trying to pick the top of the market. Let it trade. The market will tell you when it's time. But if we continue with this overwhelming complacency, if we continue with slow, dull markets, they are going to drift higher. You've watched it. We have had the narrowest range in 2 years last week. Okay, the narrowest trading range in 2 years. What does that mean? Well, it means that the markets are dull and they're going to continue to drift where they are. So when you hear all these predictions, okay, if you're going to bet on them, you're better off taking your money and throwing it in the street. Okay, so I warn you ahead of time that these predictions are exactly just that. They're predictions of maybe what might happen, which are no more than a 50-50 proposition. So save yourself the time, save yourself the grief, and flip a coin with somebody for whatever amount you want to invest. Because you're probably getting less than a coin flip, because remember, each one of these people that will be giving you these predictions also has a bias to one side or the other based on the book of business that they have. I have no book of business. I have my own business. Okay, I'm a trader. I trade for myself, and I'm happy to share my positions with you. Okay, I don't tell you what you're going to go. I tell you where we stand and what I have on. I have no book to deal with. But those that are on the air, those that are telling you stuff, have their own books of business that have an agenda and a reason that they tell you things. Just keep that in mind. And we're going to step out here for our final break and come back with my commentary. Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz, Sunday, December the 22nd. We'll be right back with more after the break. Well, folks, it's Christmas time is coming. As I wrote for my webinar yesterday, give yourself a Christmas present. Check out the micros and mini portfolios. Okay, you have a chance to give yourself most likely the greatest Christmas gift that will keep giving forever if you learn how to do it and you come and follow proper protocol. If you want to see that recording, all you got to do is just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. I'll send you a copy for free. Again, it's free. I want to educate you. I want to help you out. So if you want to check it out, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, we have our high school program, which we continue to try to nourish and get up and get running and get nationwide. And that's, of course, you can help us out at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with Todd Bubba Horowitz and my commentary. Welcome back. And it is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, December the 22nd. And of course, each and every week, I give you some of my opinions. Some you like, some you don't like. And quite frankly, I don't care. It's my opinion. It's America. I know that many don't want it to be America. I know that there's a lot of hatred out there from Americans that hate America, like that piece of crap, Robert De Niro. Okay. I used to like him. Used to have a lot of respect for him. But he's become an imbecile. Now, maybe just because he's become senile, I don't know. But when you start talking about shoving a bag of shit in the president's face and rubbing it into it, to me, that sounds like the words of a 2-year-old, not of a well-accomplished actor and probably one of the greatest actors in history. Okay, to me, sounds kind of stupid. Okay, now again, you can take that for what it's worth, and of course, I'm sure those trolls out there will be sending me those cards and letters as usual with their ignorance. Okay, but in my opinion, that's just plain dumb. Okay, again, you want to shove a bag of crap? Okay, great. Wow, what a great thing. And of course, the latest is the gender-neutral Santa Claus. Are you kidding me? Okay, we now want to get into the holidays. So not only do we want to eliminate history, everything that ever happened, and not learn from it, we want to create new crap. We want, there is no Santa Claus. So what about Mrs. Claus? Is she around? Okay. Or is this a eunuch that just gives himself birth and creates new? Again, are you guys nuts with a gender-neutral Santa Claus? Okay. First of all, it's a fictional character. Okay. And second of all, this has become far beyond even reasonable arguments. Okay. It's a holiday. Okay. For some, it's a very serious holiday. For others, it's a holiday of joy. Okay. You give presents, you have a good time, you go to parties. But we want to now bring in our gender neutrality here. Okay. I mean, this has become far past anything of reasonableness. And I think that anybody who thinks that we should have a gender neutral Santa Claus should go have their head examined. But more importantly, any of you who hate America so much the way you do, why don't you just get the hell out? Go elsewhere and talk about gender neutral and rubbing a bag of crap in the president's face and all the other stuff. Who wants you here? Okay? It's Christmas. Have a good time. Peace and goodwill, right? To everybody. I mean, but we can't seem to get that far. Right? So to all of you and your gender neutrality with Santa Claus, okay? And to Robert De Niro, have a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. I hope everything's great. And we're going to talk about, of course, we got football tonight, right? We got to talk about football. Okay. So maybe the Christmas gift will be the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Chicago Bears. I know the line's a little bit too high, but the Bears even though the Bears have played well last couple, they're terrible. Okay. I can't imagine the Bears covering. I wouldn't get too crazy here, but certainly I wouldn't bet on the Bears either. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs as I talk to you from Chicago. In the meantime, in all seriousness, to all of you, a very Merry Christmas, Happy Healthy New Year, and of course, Happy Hanukkah to everybody. It's always great to see you every Sunday. Of course, we've got Bubba's Daily Update during the week, but of course, all of you get to get Bubba's Bottom Line. So have a great holiday. Be safe, be careful, and enjoy your friends and family. Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll see you next week.